friends, so today we are making DIY stool covers. So we are going to do a beginner sewing project. Many of you know I am learning to sew. My mom is teaching me to sew, and so we thought we would share this with you as we go. So today we're making DIY stool covers. Let's get into it. Okay, so here we are on the craft table, and these are the things that we're working with today. So I have my fabric, and I chose to do this really beautiful blue and white gingham, and then I have just some plain white backing material. I have some batting. You could even use felt if you wanted to, but this is like a quilting batting. And then I have some freezer paper. Now it can't be parchment paper and it can't be wax paper. It has to be freezer paper. And then I also have a bobbin. So this is a needle. Basically, it's just a plastic needle, so you can see it has a large tip at the end, or place to thread at the end. And then this is just a cord, so this is just string, and it's not even wax covered or anything, it's just a string. And so then I have my measuring tape and my cutting board rotary blade. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut out our first piece of fabric. Okay, so we are going to first off measure our stool. So if your stool is just like a normal wooden stool like this one, it's got the lip and then the top. We are measuring only the top, not the edges. Okay, so now that we know that our stool is 12 inches, what we want to do is we want a piece of freezer paper that's 14 inches and a piece of freezer paper that's 16 inches. Now, if you don't have a tool to cut out a circle, you could grab a bowl or a pizza pan that would be about the right size, and you can use that as your template. Or you could take a piece of thread like what we're going to use inside of our stool covers, and you could put the center point, find your center point. So for our 14 inch, that would be 7 inches. Place that in the center and then tie your pencil to the edge, and then you could use that to go all the way around to make a perfect circle. So we just want to take our rotary blade and cut out our circle, and then once we have that, we're going to take that freezer paper and we are going to iron it to a piece of the batting. And once you get that ironed, that's your template. So you're going to be able to cut out your batting with that freezer paper. Now the great thing about this is this template, this freezer paper, is gonna work over and over again. Okay, and then we wanna do that same process with our fabric. And so I'm using this beautiful blue gingham, and we want to use that same technique, cutting out our freezer paper, and then we're going to then iron that to our fabric. Now, when you're working with freezer paper, just make sure that the glossy side is the side you're ironing to your fabric. Okay, and so in addition to our fabric, we also want to cut out a piece of liner. So my fabric was kind of thin. It's just 100% cotton, beautiful fabric. I got this at Hobby Lobby. And so then I just got some white. So we're going to back that so you can't see through it. And then of course it's going to have our little padding here as well.
Okay, so first of all, you cut out your circles, then you put right sides together. And then you sew it like 3/8 of an inch all the way around. Put on your presser foot.
And this is a Gingham machine. And what kind of foot is that?
That's just a regular.
Just a regular foot?
Mm-hmm. Usually I like to use a stitch in the ditch and then line it up on the outside. And I'm reinforcing this little gap that we're creating to turn it right side out. Next thing you do is you turn it right side out. Or if you're like me, you like to have a little bit of stability there. We're going to take it over to this iron. First thing I did was just iron the stitches down. It kind of locks them in all the way around. You iron them in flat. And then you go back and you turn this down all the way around and iron it back. That helps it to be a little smoother around the edges when you get done. Okay, so I left that little slit open for turning it right side out. And you just turn it all the way out, and then you'll repress it because this is going to destroy any ironing that you did in the previously. And you smooth it out.
Yeah, you're right. All the ironing is gone.
Yes, but you have to have it ironed to start with, or your pattern pieces will be crooked and wrinkled, and it's still a good idea to iron every step. I mean, if you want it to look professional or neat, then iron every step. Because what you're doing here is just turn it right side out.
Okay, and I can see where the edges are probably going to be much cleaner because you ironed it.
Right, on the inside. Okay, now that we've got it all turned right side out, we're going to press it again. My iron needs to get a little warmer, I think.
Yeah, it looks like a perfectly...
You just have to work out the edges.
Yeah.
But it does help to press that one layer back while it's still wrong side out.
Okay.
Especially when you need this little gap. Now, this little gap is bigger than I want it to be for the string. All right, so the little opening is a little too much now, so we just want it big enough for the string to come out. Otherwise, when you draw it, you'll have a gap. So let's sew that up. Okay, so just sew really close to the edge until you leave just a little bit.
So we're closing up the entire gap, just enough for the string to be inserted, right?
Right. So you can just barely see that, but it's not going to show underneath the stool anyway. I'm going to sew it all the way around.
Again?
Yes. This creates a pocket for the string to run through.
Oh.
And that's the reason I like to do it this way with the lining, is so you don't have to try to turn under a ½ inch and get all the gathers out and then, you know, run the string through. This is going to create like a little sleeve for the string to run through.
And this is a 3/8 inch?
Mm-hmm. Now, if you got plenty of fabric or whatever, you can do ½ inch if you're nervous about it.
Okay, so now that Mom has finished sewing that all the way around, so let me show it to you really close up on camera so you can see that little edge that she sewed, the 3/4 inch. And so this is our opening. Much smaller than before when we turned it. So we have this tiny little opening. And so what we want to do now is take a bobbin. So this is just like a plastic needle. And so we put our cord in the bobbin, and now we're going to use that to get our thread all the way in. Just make sure that you don't lose it in there. So you have a really long end and then you have a much shorter end, just like you were sewing anything else. So we're just going to pop that into the edge and we're going to work it all the way around. Okay, and so now both strings out. You just want to make sure you get all the wrinkles out all the way to the edges. And then we're going to take that piece of batting that we cut out. We're just going to set it on the inside. Now, it does not go inside. It's just kind of like on the back. And so then you will put both of those onto the top of your stool and cinch them up. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and we keep cinching that up and closing it. Okay, and so once you've got it in place, then you just want to tie that off. So you can tie it in a knot or a bow. You can even tie it around the leg if you want to make sure that it doesn't shift and move. Okay, and so there you go. So it's cinched up and then we just tied it around the leg to keep it secure. And there we go, easy peasy bar stool covers. Let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see more simple sewing ideas. See you in the next video.